reached the Hump Day edition of the Sportsline podcast here on the CHCH multimedia platform. I'm Bubba O'Neill. Well, as many of you know, sports in Southern Ontario is always our focus. And folks, it is hard to argue, fair to say, that the Golden Horseshoe region has developed many outstanding athletes, teams, executives, media contributors, and we're also the home to many outstanding events. Well, it's been an annual staple for over 50 years. The Founders Cup, which is a recognized national championship for Junior B lacrosse, is coming to Hamilton in just over a week. It's the first time that the tournament has been in the Golden Horseshoe since 1995, when the beautiful city of St. Catharines was the host. And this will be the first time that some of the best players in the country will be right here in the Hammer. To talk about this event that will put the lacrosse eyes of the nation on this community is the head coach and general manager of the Founders Cup host squad, the Hamilton Bengals. Jeff Dowling, this is outstanding. It's great to have you here on the pod. And boy, you got to be excited about having a national event in your hands.
Well, first, thanks for having me. This is great. Yeah, we're super excited. The executive, the players, everyone that's been involved of putting this together is really excited about the opportunity that we have here to kind of showcase our city and hopefully we have a great event that people will enjoy.
Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the logo on your chest there, the Bengals. Long-standing lacrosse in this area, hotbed. Even guys like Dave Anderchuk, where one of the rinks is named after. He played the sport. Wayne Gretzky. We go on and on. But the Bengals have been a staple. And how did you get involved with the team?
So I grew up in Mississauga and went to Brock University in St. Catharines, met my wife there who is born and bred Hamilton. So once we got married, it was no question we were moving to Hamilton. So kind of got involved when my kids were young. I think my son was 4 when I first started coaching in the Hamilton Bengals organization, and he's now 23 years old, so it's been 19 years since I started coaching in the organization.
But you played too, didn't you?
I did. I played. Yeah, I played a lot of years. My dad played. My dad actually won a Minto Cup, which is Junior A championship, in 1959 with the Brampton Excelsiors. So I kind of grew up in lacrosse and played from an early age. Didn't make it to the NLL. I was close, a couple of semi-pro leagues, but had a lot of fun playing, and then was able to kind of play a couple championships. Won a Founders Cup myself in 1986 with Mississauga, and a couple Canadian championships in Senior B with the Fergus Thistles. So been interesting.
And that's great because, for people that don't know, there's obviously the field lacrosse version, the box lacrosse version. But what I like about the box lacrosse is that the variety that you're seeing right down to the seniors, Junior A, Junior B. Young kids are playing right now, which is awesome to see, I think, for this sport. And, of course, if you want to go see the NLL, it's right here in Hamilton with The Rock. So this has been a hotbed, and I'm not just saying Hamilton, we'll say Southern Ontario for the sport.
Oh, absolutely. I think some of the best players you'll find in the world are Southern Ontario players. So guys that were born in the area, NL head coaches, a lot of them are from Ontario. It's just through and through, the best players are coming from Ontario for sure.
I'll ask you this question. I know my answer because I think a lot of people are still warming up to lacrosse, maybe haven't seen enough of it. But what is it about the sport for you that it attracts?
I think some of the people get nervous about the physicality of the game, which is kind of what drew me to the game initially. It's not a violent game like some people would consider a violent game. I don't see it as a violent game. It's just very physical, and I think the hand-eye coordination is huge. Like obviously, you see some of the hockey players like John Tavares that credit lacrosse for making them a better hockey player because their hand-eye coordination, and also being hit in close corners, right? So being able to take that hit and stay on the puck like he can do, right? So, I think it's that. Physicality, I think, is probably one of the big things that drew me to the game.
I think it's neat because it's basketball, it's soccer, it's hockey. It's got everything combined. And you're playing in this hockey rink, right? Like, I mean, of course, the field is so big. And that's a different skill, the long sticks. But the short sticks.
Yeah.
some of the guys that use the old wooden ones as well too, and pop, 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 pop across the wrist. There is that physical element, which we here in this country, we seem to love, because I don't see anyone in a hockey fight in the NHL or Junior A when guys are dropping the gloves. We're all standing up and enjoying it, right? That does happen, but the skill to play this sport, the behind the back, the through the legs, the skill that is required, like you said, the hand-eye coordination. Folks, take a lacrosse stick and have someone toss you a ball, and it's amazingly harder than you think, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, you brought up basketball. I think basketball is probably the best comparison because of the indoor game and how you play basketball with picks and screens. Just everything, the way you develop an offense is similar to basketball, whereas most people compare it to hockey. It's really not like hockey. You've got 5 players that are playing offense, and then you got 5 players playing defense. You know, it's a tough sport to pick up. You know, I think anyone who can play the game, you know, definitely has a lot of athletic ability.
I always remember an interview I did many years ago with Walter Gretzky. And I don't know if it had to do with politics or whatever the situation was, but he always said that Wayne preferred playing lacrosse to hockey and translated many of those skills to hockey. And if there was an ability to play professionally and make the kind of money you could in the National Hockey League, you could in lacrosse, that he would have chosen lacrosse.
Yeah, you hear that from a lot of people. I know that Joe Newendike's another one that has always said that.
Adam Oates.
Adam Oates, I think still holds the record for Junior A points in a game.
Wow.
I think he had 21 points or something like that in a game. Yeah. So
that's incredible. Let's talk about the Bengals here.
All right.
How was your regular season?
It was up and down. So we had some really good parts of the season, and then some that were not so great. You know, I think all in all, I thought we did okay. We had a bunch of injuries that we kind of had to fight through and kind of deal with. But you know, I'm comfortable from the fact that I think we're in a position now that we can definitely win the championship. You know, there's going to be some great teams we're going to have to deal with, but I believe in our roster and the guys that we have there. So, you know.
Well, we take a look at the OLA, like your league, like it is real tough. Like it is really, really tough to get through. And you had some postseason success a little bit. You had some last year as well, too. But the playoffs right now in Ontario are just tight.
Yeah, I think right now it's down to Laura and Ganawagi, you know, competing for the Ontario finals. Laura's up 2-0 that series, but they go to Ganawagi for the next 2 games, which is just outside Montreal. So
thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, no problem. So it's you know, a bit of a tough road trip for them. I think either team that comes is going to be you know, a huge competition for us if we even see them. So they're in a different group. So you know, we'd have to get there to see them in a you know, semifinal or final. But you know, Allura, we played them in the regular season. We're one of only 2 teams actually to beat Allura this year. So we beat them in Allura, which is kind of bodes well for us that we know how to play against them. And Ganawagi, we saw them actually in a preseason tournament, so you really can't count that. We didn't have all our guys; they didn't have all their guys, but we were actually able to beat them in a preseason tournament. So, kind of, you know, hope that helps us too.
For sure. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about the process of, I mean, this has got to be a hard thing because this is not just an OLA thing. This is a national championship that is coming to Hamilton that you guys are hosting. What was the bidding process? What led up to the Hamilton Bengals being the host for this national event?
So it's kind of a weird story because Ontario's not supposed to be hosting this year. It's actually supposed to be hosted by New Brunswick or Nova Scotia this year, based on their I guess their pattern that they have for hosting. But one of the rules is you have to be in the tournament the year before to be able to host. So the fact that they didn't attend the tournament in Port Coquitlam last year meant that it was open for someone else to take the tournament on. We went through in an Ontario meeting, I think a year and a half ago. There was 2 bidders. It was us and Ganawagi were the 2 that had put in a bid, and the council selected ours to go forward with the idea that potentially we would get to host if the other 2 provinces didn't. So we were kind of in a holding pattern for a while until they came back and said, okay, Hamilton, you're the host.
And that's got to be the greatest announcement. We see with the Olympics where like the Salt Lake City, like the Winter Olympics will go to Salt Lake City and everyone's and goes crazy, because that just really sets up the fact that I think it raises the profile of your program, does it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that people start asking more questions about our program, and we're affiliated with Burlington Junior A, which won Minto Cup last year. We're affiliated with the Brantford Warriors Junior C program, which has won a Meredith Cup championship. So people already knew about those programs because of their championships, and that now people are starting to talk a little bit more about us. And we've been close. And since I've been with the team, we've made it to a Western final, lost to Six Nations in 2019, I want to say. We felt like the 2020 was actually going to be our year. Obviously, COVID cut that short, but now we're back here and we're ready to go.
Including yourself, there are 2 pools, 9 teams, a lot of competition.
Yes, yeah. First time I've seen 9 teams in like forever. So we're in a group with our first game's actually against Manitoba. The very good team. They have a lot of good players. I've watched some video on them. They'll be a tough opponent. And then we'll face Victoria Shamrocks, which is another storied franchise from out west. So, their major team is actually undefeated this year in Major Lacrosse, and their Junior A. They have a good Junior A program there. So we know that they're going to be a formidable opponent. And then we go into, I want to say, Nova Scotia and then Saskatchewan. So, and then the other group would have the winner of Ganawagi and Elora. Would have the Alberta rep, which I'm not sure if that's been announced yet. Onondaga Redhawks from the First Nations lacrosse, and then New Brunswick.
Now, you just talked about it there. If you can expand on this, that's what makes this tournament so wild, because you work so hard to be in your own division, your own province, win your own title. Reminds me kind of the Memorial Cup. But there's never that interaction with any team from elsewhere. How do you prepare for the Shamrocks, we'll say?
Yeah, so right now it's reaching out to people that you know.
Spying.
Yeah, so I'll probably get him in trouble. But my brother actually lives in Victoria, and he's been to a couple games.
Yes.
So he's good friends with the coaches there. But and they told him he's not allowed to tell me anything. But there's video. There's not a lot of video, but there's some video, and we've been able to watch some video on the different teams and kind of see what they do, and really it's a feel out process. Your first game, you're going in kind of blind. You have the video on the Manitoba team, and then after that we'll be able to see what the Victoria team has done in their first game, and kind of see the teams as you're there. So we play, we'll basically get ready for Monday, Tuesday, which is Manitoba, Victoria, and then Wednesday's an off day for us, which will then give us a little bit of breathing room to kind of scout and get ready for the next 2 opponents.
Yeah. So when exactly. On those off days, you're watching other games.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. What are you looking for? Tendencies, like their best player. What are you looking for?
Yeah, you watch a lot of their special teams and see how their special teams run. You watch their breakout, watch their goalie. It's really important watching their goalie. See if there's something that he's weak on, or something that he gives off something when he's taking a step one way or the other. Really just you're watching their best players and see what you can do to limit what they can do. So
I'll go back, and I mentioned the Memorial Cup because the format is very similar. I went to a Memorial Cup not that long ago, I guess 2 years ago, with I'm not going to say the Hamilton Bulldogs at the time, and we went out east, and they played every team in all 3 divisions or conferences and beat them all. But they lost in the final to the host. The host, who had about 50, I think it was 50-something days off because they were eliminated in the first round. But they claimed to the fact that they were fresh, they were healthy, and of course, because they're the host, they had the home crowd. Are you expecting a kind of similar effect?
Yes.
Is it kind of an advantage in a way?
I'm hoping it is. So,
of course.
So I was at one of those Hamilton games in St. John that year too.
Yes,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so I've actually gone through this myself. So in 1986, we won the Founders of Mississauga. 1987, we were an undefeated team. We went through the playoffs, no problem. We got to Kitchener, who was the host, and we beat them in the regular round robin, and we lost to them in the Founders Cup championship game. They had lost in the first round of the playoffs. They were fresh, and we had gone through that whole playoff. So I've seen it from that end. I've also seen it Senior B in Fergus, where we're a host team. We lost first round of the playoffs, and then we won the national championship as the host team. So I've seen it from both sides, and there's no question that being fresh definitely helps.
It really does, because I mean, everyone gets their bumps and bruises all healed up, and I would think is it called a second chance motivation? Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I think the guys are realize that we had a job to do, and we didn't finish it. We didn't do it like we needed to, but now they lucky enough to have this opportunity to kind of make up for it. So.
All right. I mean, it's so hard to understand who's going to be in this tournament, because everyone is still, not everyone, but most other provinces are in the midst of their playoffs. But do you think there's a favorite out there?
Yeah, I think the favorite every year is probably the Ontario champion. Okay. The Ontario champion usually is, or I don't say usually, but for years the Ontario champion was the team that would win it. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been the case the last few years. I know last year the Ontario champion didn't win. A couple years ago, Nepean was the champion for Ontario. They won it pretty handily. But I would say the Ontario champion is usually the favorite, and then I think you've got the Alberta and BC reps are definitely the other two that really people look at.
To run a tournament like this runs someone like yourself, I'm sure, pretty ragged for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and all the people in your organization. But it takes many hands. It needs volunteers.
Yes.
How do the people that are maybe seeing this podcast and they say they want to be involved, how do they get involved?
All right. Well, so first let me say that I'm doing a lot, but not nearly as much as other people. So I'm really still concentrating on the on-floor stuff. But Gary Galland, who's VP of our organization, director of junior lacrosse, he is the guy that's kind of spearheaded everything that we're doing right now. So him, Dave Colborn, who's I don't even know what Dave's title is now, but Dave's involved with our Senior B team as the general manager now, our new franchise, but he's still involved with this as well. Greg Gillis, who's our president of Hamilton Minor and Junior, those are the three that kind of have been putting most of this together. I know Gary would always love to have volunteers, and you can reach him at bengal.lax@gmail.com is Gary's email address. Hopefully I got that right.
I'll get that up for sure.
And then I think he's the right guy that to reach out to, and more help is always needed and wanted.
It certainly is, because it really it is. We hear it for the Olympics. Every major event that's out there. I mean, we just talked about Memorial Cup, any Stanley Cup. People got to come out and help. And I think I've done a number of volunteer events in my past. And boy, it's a rewarding feeling when you're part of the action and seeing people. And this being a national event, there's just that certain level of excitement.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think we do have a lot of people that former players that are definitely coming back to help out. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned we have a brand new Senior B franchise this year that competed. The players, I believe, are volunteering to do the beer garden to help raise some money for.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So hopefully we can make money on that, and they don't drink the profits. But yeah.
Where are the games being held?
So Dave Andrzejczyk Mountain Arena. Mm-hmm. So all the games are held there. Mm-hmm. Starting on Monday the 19th, going through till Sunday the 25th.
And there'll be like an opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies.
Opening ceremonies will be Monday. I believe it's at 6 o'clock on Monday. Our first game will be Monday night at 8. Mm-hmm. And then so we play Monday 8, Tuesday might be 7:30. Then Wednesday off, we play Thursday, which is our normal home game night, so it's good to have that Thursday night game. And then we play Friday at 5. So we have one game that's not the primetime game. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, that'll be fantastic for you guys. And again, tickets. So
everything will be on the website, which is founderscup.lacrosse.ca. Mm-hmm. So I think everything can be found there. Schedule, which I don't know if the schedule. I think the schedule's up there now. The teams have not been populated yet, but that's where everything should be accessible.
Community, step it up. Time to see some quality lacrosse. The home team is involved. National event. Some of the best players you will see at this age level all coming to Hamilton. Jeff, it's been outstanding to chat with you. I'm going to check out some games. I'll be there,
right,
hiding in the crowd, cheering for you guys quietly because this is the Hamilton home team. But I think it's going to be outstanding. It'll be a great event. Good luck to you guys. Set this off. Represent really well. I know you will. And all of your help, your volunteers, and the executive, congratulations on hosting this event. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think anyone who comes is going to be treated to some great lacrosse.
Lacrosse is a great sport, folks. Thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, folks. That's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. National event. It's great. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you do have something to say, please comment. We love to hear your comments. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so very much. And we'll see you tomorrow.